Welcome to another chapter of In the Keep podcast. I'm your very own prophet of the drowned god, the Motherlode. This show is all about the world of arena first-person shooters, classic FPS games, their legacies, their lineage, and the people who keep that world turning. These are the players, the developers, the streamers, the influencers. It is the will of the drowned god Cthalhamas that our communities band together in her cathedral to frag and give one another into oblivion for all eternity. Happy Cthalhamas, people. I believe this episode is going to come out on Cthalhamas Eve. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying yourself, man. And whenever you do get the chance to check this out, I hope you enjoy it. It's my gift to you and to myself mostly. This is my conversation with the great Makaveli. I mean, what can I say? This guy, if there were a Mount Rushmore of Quake, Makaveli would be on it. It's such an honor that he spent the time that he did with me. We actually had a lot of technical difficulties the day of recording. We even lost some of the tail end of the interview. But I think that we formed a complete conversation in the course of what you're about to hear, and I anticipate we will have Makaveli back again sometime maybe first quarter next year, or just whenever we both have the time, because it's hard to make schedules line up the way you want them to. But yeah, dude, this is awesome. I'm so excited about this one. Before we get into it, I do want to go ahead and say thank you to everybody who supports the show. So that said, we got Dots, Moose, Paul, Zach, Alexander, Lashaka, Jeffrey, and Alyssa. I fucking love you all. You're amazing. The drowned god Cthalhamas sends her regards to each and every one of you. And that's not just the people who give monetarily. Everybody who listens to this show, everybody who in any way brings joy home from what we do here, I appreciate you as well. And all that we ask from you, if you can't afford or don't want to donate or whatever, that's fine. You don't have to. It's not about that. It's about spreading the message. So tell your friends. We love you. That's the best way you can support us. Whew. We have a special song this week. So this track is called Cthalhamas. It was created by the great Igrag Simon, and you can find him on YouTube and all that stuff. But hey, I'm going to stop yammering on. There's no need. Let's just get right to it. Let's get in the keep with Makaveli.
I'm Victor Cuadra, known as Makaveli online.
You kind of always get asked about the origin of the name. You're a big West Coast hip hop guy, right? Tupac.
Sure. That was at the time, right, when I was a teenager, and this is the '90s. So that was the whole, I guess, real growth of that scene. I like to think so. Yeah, it was a lot of popular music at that time, and I liked the name. It was catchy.
No, it's a sick name, dude. But I don't know. I kind of got it in my head. I wonder if he's one of those Tupac loyalists. If I bring up Biggie Smalls, you're gonna come over here and cap me. But
no, Biggie was great too. It was a darn shame.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, it was the Wu-Tang Clan series that's been on what is it, Hulu recently. Everybody's all hopped up about 90s hip hop again, and I love that shit. So
yeah, a lot of good music.
Yeah. You don't have any favorite tracks from the time, or was it just particularly?
Oh, I mean, it'd be a laundry list. Honestly, if I mean nothing I feel appropriate really to mention anymore, because I don't know, some of the language. It's I'm which songs here? I'm I mean, it depends which band or which artist, and yeah, this a long list.
Number one best Tupac song.
Number one. You have to pick one. That's oh man. Okay. I'll go easy. California Love.
Okay,
that's easy.
Fair enough. Yeah, it encompasses everything. covers the whole demographic, got all the people in there.
Yeah, very, very PC answer.
Yeah. Did you, so you grew up in like the San Francisco, Silicon Valley area?
Yeah, that's correct.
So,
Yep.
yeah, a buddy.
Little town called Livermore.
Okay. One of my good buddies, grew up kind of same area, same time frame, and he's like really into Quake too. Not nearly on your level. Spaced. I'm talking about you, man. And he was telling me stories about like how, he always thought he sucked at video games because he'd, in the 90s get on Bay Area servers, not knowing who you guys were. Then you guys would just kick the shit out of him.
Yeah, there was no shame losing to me in Quake 2. At least at one point.
Yeah.
Early on, yeah, I had to earn my stripes, but later on, yeah, it's I was trash canning everybody. So if you lost to me, it was no big deal.
That was the one of the more interesting things about it, though. I think you may have brought this up with Thorin a while back, maybe like 2015. I'm not sure when the interview took place, but you did kind of talk about like how your, I don't want to say your attitude necessarily, but the way that you played the game at that time was like you weren't pulling punches from anybody. You're very aggressive, kind of in not
Sure.
necessarily in play style, but definitely in the way that you handled other people. So
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just kind of looked at it as I was playing the game, and I didn't. I don't. I still don't understand the concept of go easy. Like how do you go easy? Like how do you pull your punches? I guess in a game, so it's like you're telling me. So you want me to make poor decisions on purpose? Like you want me to just I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a weird concept to me.
no, that's actually an interesting kind of thing to bring up, especially there seems to be a differentiation between the mind of a player like yourself and then like most casual people who play the game. So like to you, it's like, go ahead, no please.
Yeah, I'm just I don't know. I'm just a very competitive person. I've typically been that way, even as a kid. Growing up playing soccer, I
Yeah.
was really do not like to lose. I enjoy winning, and yeah. So there's a lot of, I guess, attitude that goes along with that.
A lot of people, it seems, just in my observations, like you use the words like you want me to make poor decisions, but most people just accidentally make poor decisions and then they are actively trying as they play not to fuck up, whereas for you it's like, see, it's like hard for you to fuck up almost.
Well, maybe back then. Right
Yeah.
now, it's very easy for me to fuck up because it takes
Yeah.
dedication and practice and to be really good at anything. Right? It doesn't matter what you're doing in life, whether it's video games or some other passion. If you want to be the best at something or you're trying to be the best, it's almost obsessive, I would
Mhm.
say. It was bordering on a serious obsessive problem like that. That's where because otherwise, how do you get there? And I would ask anybody that how do you become the best in the world at something or close to it without being a little obsessive or a lot obsessive
Yeah.
about that? And yeah, this kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah, you got to be a little crazy to be a genius or whatever it's at, kind of across the board.
Yeah, so they say. So they say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know who they are, but I'm just that
all of them, everyone,
all of them.
the
Yeah, everyone.
collective.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Is it funny? Like you say they, like it's like 1984 or something, like Machiavelli. Oh, this is getting scary, dude. Maybe they're listening to us right now.
They're always listening.
Yeah, it's fine. I listened to that fucking Edward Snowden was on Joe Rogan. I was running and I did the best run time I've ever done while listening to that shit. I had like puckered up super like, man, I don't have anything to hide, but they're listening to everything I say. Like shit.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what they're listening to? I try not to think about it too much, honestly.
Yeah. Back in the early days, internet, they, it must have been a lot freer playing games online back then. I mean, and not with the accessibility, that we have today and like the convenience of everything, but like the community. What was the group of people hanging out on Quake 2 like when you were coming into your own?
Well, you get to know certain people, I guess, right? It's more of a smaller community.
Mm.
People, private servers were a thing, right? People are putting up their own servers, whether I don't know how they were doing it, either paying for space somewhere or putting it up at their job, or so yeah, there was that aspect of it. You get used to seeing the same names over and over again, and so then that kind of is what developed into these regional rivalries or even clans, right? Or the people from our server are better than the people from your server, and then it just kind of expands from there. But yeah, the community was definitely smaller, more personal, because you tend to know everybody versus the internet's just grown so much. It's you can't the numbers are just ridiculous, along with the technology, right? Everybody's talking on voice and that kind of thing while playing games.
Yeah, I always like to use the analogy of like the '80s kung fu tournament movie for that kind of era, that time frame of gaming. Because, like you said, everybody was kind of like localized to their servers, to their clans, and everything. And then when we end up, with these bigger events that people ended up going to, it was kind of like people from this dojo and people from this dojo, and who's the best, and we're gonna have a big tournament to figure it out. Whereas now it's a lot more worldwide.
Well, yeah, it's more professional
Mm-hmm.
today, which you got organizations that are that are funding players, and really putting the dollar behind the product, which is the player, and making sure they're prepared for the event and that they can play their best. Whereas yeah, before it was more of a semi-pro. I guess I would kind of, if I had to make a comparison to something that is kind of one on one, like the early days of golf, right? The little amateur tournaments and stuff they would have, where it's you just kind of bring in these hot shot golfers who technically there is no pro league, but they're winning all these little amateur style tournaments for side cash kind of thing, and you have them face off. It was more like that. Whereas today, it's full on professional. You got to really devote a lot of time and put a lot of effort into it, and have a decent amount of talent as well to make it work today.
Yeah. So, like, who were your local guys? Like, who all was hanging around specifically? Like, anyone of note that you want to bring up?
You mean back in my
Yeah.
day, as we like to say,
Back in your day, sir.
back in my
Yeah.
day when we had ball mice and PS2, connections, and 125 hertz on your mouse was considered really good. Yeah, that was Immortal was probably
Yeah.
early on, was one of the people I played a lot. Um, Definitely got the better of me early on, and learned a lot from that, because he was just a very naturally talented player in regards to mechanical ability. He can hit some shots. So if you were able to play around him, or at least contain him to some degree, it means you got a good mental understanding of the game. So I enjoyed playing him quite a bit. And then later on, just hung around with the K9 guys, Yusufer, Alcazar, Bitter. There's a lot of Quaint. There's a lot of guys that I used to hang around. There were just Bay Area players. And of course, Thresh. It depends how far back you want to go, right? And Thresh, of course, all the way back to Doom 2, and still talk to him. So yeah, I hung out with all the guys, all the Bay Area guys, pretty much. And there's some old names that people never heard of: Kicker, Racine, guys on Durango, and Dennis's brothers, Lyle and Brian. I could go on and on. I guess the longer I think about it, I could probably pull some more names out. But yeah, just the Bay Area people in general.
Yeah, it's kind of the reason I bring it up is just 'cause there's kind of a history in the development of esports in that area at that time, and you just happen to be like right there in it too.
Sure.
Internet
Yeah.
connection obviously much better in San Francisco than it's going to be in, I don't know, St. Louis or whatever at that time. Like the center of technology kind of growing off, and there's so many players, like really great players that just kind of practice, as I said earlier, kind of in that dojo with you guys, and then we get. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, but like you're a fucking Quake legend, man. Like that Thresh, you brought him up, is like what an interesting time in the history of our sport, really.
Yeah. I say I'm the esports equivalent of like an NFL leatherhead.
Yeah.
If you look at the NFL, I'm like, It's yeah, all the guys making millions today. It's like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But it's like, but no, it was an interesting time because a lot of people thought it was nuts. They legitimately thought it was nuts. Like when you explain it to them, like, what? What do you mean you're going to play video games for? What do you mean, like, what league? What professional video games? Nobody will ever pay. Nobody ever spend money to watch you play video games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the statement. Nobody will ever pay money to watch you play video games. Well, look, fast forward 20 years, and here we are. And yeah, and people are paying money to watch people play video games,
Not
especially if
even.
they're really good.
You don't
Yeah,
even have to be
and
good if you're hot. It's like people just give you money to play games
well,
shittily.
I would say if you're entertaining,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if you're entertaining, yeah, you have value, and people will pay. Yeah, why not? Why not throw you $5 a month? Just to get some emotes and laugh on your stream. Hey, if you make me laugh, right? If I tune in, you make me laugh here and there, and
Yeah.
maybe giving me a little adrenaline when I need it when I'm at work or before work or what have you. Then yeah, why not? So what? What's the difference? I've always kind of had that argument even back when I was young. It's like people are like, "What do you offer?" It's like, "What do you mean? What do I offer? It's entertainment. Like, what, I can play. I can beat people 30-0 all day." Well, at that time, right? He's like, you want? I can show you how it's done the best, or and I'll talk crap while you while I do it if you want. Or, I mean, I mean, to take the doctor disrespect angle, right? I mean, the guy's an entertainer. Guy's an entertainer, and people tune in to see what he's going to say, see what shot he's going to hit, or whatever. And even if he loses, it's entertaining. He has some shtick for that too. And yeah, it's come a long way. It's interesting.
What were like what are some of the things that you feel like specifically you broke ground in? Like I actually I think I brought you up on a recent episode because we were talking about uh when in the early days they would kind of have like different gamers or developers go on TV, or do these kind of mainstream-ish interviews, and then it was always like really fucking awkward because obviously the world was not ready for what you guys were trying to sell to them or say. There was no articulate way to describe what we were really doing, and you were one of the people that like really did that
Uh,
and did it well.
I would just say I was just trying in terms to normalize it. I
Mm,
think there was this, like again, a stereotype that thankfully I don't think really exists anymore. Now when you talk about gaming and esports, especially with the younger generation, they know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Um, but I tried to eliminate that illusion that we couldn't talk or somehow that we were socially awkward, and that kind of broke ground in that regard. I was very mouthy, um, which not necessarily a positive way all the time. I was young and brash and trying to make an impact, trying to build a persona. But I'd like to think that yeah, I kind of started with the it's not just a player. I'm also I got a persona when I play. It's I got an attitude when I play, and that's something I tried to bring out. And I felt also that we were a marketing, like we were the product. Like I thought we could sell product
yeah,
in terms of hardware. And hey, this is the mouse I use. This is the video card I use. This is my setup. This is why I use it this way. And if you want to be the best, that's right. You do what I do. um, and that sells. It does. And now people, you're right? You look at everything going. Look at all the pro teams today. What are they selling? They're selling hardware. They're selling mice. They're selling video cards. They're selling monitors. They're selling keyboards. They're selling headsets. Yep, that's the dream. That's it right there. So once again, you're welcome, boys. Welcome.
yeah. It's no different than Michael Jordan selling fucking shoes. Except to be fair, like probably any pair of shoes would do. There's more than just the shoe. Whereas with computer
Sure.
technology, it's like, yeah, you really do have to have this powerful of a video card if you want to play the game at my level. Like, so you guys are like actually selling really important shit too. I mean, some of it's fluff, but shit.
Well, I mean, look, the argument back then, now you have 240 hertz and all that, but back then it was, you actually had people arguing, 60 hertz is fine, 120, that's all, That's all just talk. And I used to be like, man, if you can't tell the difference, man, you're blind, man. You need to go get your eyes checked, seriously. And even now, with going up from, if you go from 144 to 240, there's definitely a difference. If you can't see the difference, I highly recommend visiting your eye doctor. That's
It's
all I'm
like
saying. I can't see worth a damn either, and I noticed the difference. So
there's always that argument every time there's kind of like a newer, higher res visual thing. You know, like people argue like, oh, 4K TV that'll never catch on, like because like there's always that, oh, the human eye can't even pick up that much. Yeah, like
yeah, sure. Yeah, I've heard that argument. Yeah,
and then I'm pretty sure Rafa's brain is like whether his eyes see it or not, it's picking up some kind of subliminal message in there with his tracking, shit like
I'll
that.
just say, never heard anybody good make that argument. Just say that.
That's true. And then I don't know, like also the Quake 2 itself, very very different in retrospect, you know, from what everybody else kind of thinks about Quake as that didn't play Quake 2. There's some people that entirely skipped it, and there's some people that would never play any other game, even to this day. Like, I just play Quake 2, or some form of Quake 2.
Yeah, it's the black sheep of the series, I guess, in some regards. It's the slow weapon switching that throws people off.
Yeah.
So you can really get caught like out in the open while switching guns, which is not good, not good. And so that takes an adjustment, and it changes the play style of the game versus other Quakes, where you can be a little more in your face because of the quick weapon switching, and it allows for different combos and things. So
Yeah.
it's just more measured a more measured game, I guess I would say.
No, kind of. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, you can't just be so pedal to the metal with it. You got to be gotta be careful.
Measured, calm. Like that's not most of these like kind of like Quake 3 players, Quake World players especially, like just balls to the wall fast all the time. And like Quake 2 is more like a dance watching you, especially you play. A lot of the demos online, you know, that are available to everybody of you playing are actually from your opponent's perspective. And it's actually a really fun experience, kind of like studying on your gameplay specifically, because most of it is just watching someone struggle with you. It's really fun. Some of these matches where it almost seems like you let them have kind of like their major items, and then you were just denying weapons and coming up with ways to trap them as they came out for you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was more concerned with weapon control than necessarily armor or health. I felt by limiting your arsenal,
Yeah,
I can always put myself in an advantageous position to where you're missing that particular weapon. So I put you in positions where that weapon was the most advantageous to have, which would kind of be my goal. So yeah, well, of course, the game was different too, with 30-second weapon respawns and 20-minute games. You need, of course, the longer timer. It makes sense when you have weapons taking 30 seconds to respawn. But yeah, I definitely went with the weapon control aspect of Quake 2. And I just never felt I was like the best with aim. So I tried to make my play style to kind of get around that and try to beat people who are, maybe if I went head to head with them, with the particular gun in particular situations, maybe they could kill me, but why even go there? It's kind of was kind of my thinking.
yeah. It's like your armor stack doesn't mean shit to me if I have a rocket launcher and you don't have anything. You know, that makes perfect sense.
And ground, right? And trying to take advantage of high ground and little intricacies in the game, like stairs could block splash damage more than like in Quake Champions. You see they hit ledges, and the splash is really effective on the ledge. But in Quake 2, actually, a ledge would completely just stop the splash damage, and you can use things like that to your advantage. And just knowing how to play around the weapons. And it's the same with Quake Champions now, if you think about it. It's all about understanding arsenal and how to take good advantage of position and playing off of your enemy location and all that good stuff.
Well, when you talk to people about like what about this Quake and that Quake, and then Quake 2, the big story always seems to be the railgun. And then when I actually see the game played, especially by you high skilled motherfuckers, it's always it's a lot more rockets than, and people always shit talk about the rockets, like, oh, they're slow and they're weird and everything, but I think it's just a measurement of your brain. Like your brain gets used to a certain thing, you know how to measure it kind of without thinking about it. And watching you play, that definitely seemed to be the case.
I used to get enjoyment out of hitting a good prediction shot. So I used to practice a lot, especially if I could hit a long range one. I'm like, I knew. I joke, it's a bit lucky, right? You're just kind of you're just kind of going off your gut. You're just, I want to throw one out there, and then it hits. So it's kind of like, yeah, I knew he was coming, and then it's like, but yeah, it's definitely shows an understanding of the game, no matter what game what you're playing. For hitting a good prediction shot, it means you're shooting early. It means you're understanding what your opponent is thinking, what he or she wants to do, and that's a big aspect of first person shooters is understanding, what they want to do. And I've said it before, is what they're going to do before they know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Like it's like, I already know what you're going to do, man. I'm already 3 steps, down the road, dude.
No,
I'm already there. I'm waiting for you.
chess
I'm waiting for you.
master, but with rockets.
Yeah, exactly.
Chain
Yeah,
guns
with
and shit.
rockets. Yeah, but you can do it in any game. You watch Counter Strike or any of the battle royale games, and you can when you see people, good players, pre-firing and stuff. That's prediction. I'm timing you, so it shows the good understanding of the game.
How's your sleep? Like you're probably in alpha flow state at that, especially at that time, more than most people are. Really utilizing your brain at a higher level. You'd have to be to play at that level, I would think.
I sleep well? I don't have sleeping problems, if that's what you're asking.
I'm just
Yeah,
wondering, man. Anything.
no, I can hit the pillow and I'll be out, especially in the evening. Shoot, man, 5 minutes, I'm out. Hit
You
the pillow and out.
played
Unless
soccer?
of course, stress or anxiety will keep anybody up. But under normal circumstances, no, I don't have a problem sleeping.
Okay. And you never did, like growing up at all? Nothing.
No, not at all.
And you're pretty active, like you said. You were an athlete in school and everything, moving up.
Oh yeah, and even post, as an adult, I've although I've been slacking a little recently, but yeah, I've been in and out of the gym as well, as an adult. So I'm not a stranger to physical fitness and getting sweaty and exerting myself. Not at all.
Yeah, I find that interesting because there's always been that stereotype that, like, gamers are a bunch of fat ass geeks in their mom's basement and they have pimples, and you think of like Eric Cartman on South Park where he's like playing World of Warcraft and shitting like in a bowl on his mom's face. And
no, definitely not. I can say like just maybe what I don't know, I'm a little off of it, but a few years ago I was I'm repping 225. I was weighing like 170, 175, and I was putting up 225 10 times, 3 sets, just to kind of get things going. I was lifting.
Yeah.
Strong boy.
Yeah, some of the best eSports athletes I know are actually they probably should have just been real athletes, like, in regards to their like focus on physical fitness. And I think that transfers to the time that you do spend, sitting on your ass, but if you exert yourself physically a lot and often, then you're calmer when you're actually trying to calm down. Your body's not trying to do that shit off time.
Yeah, I just keep it simple. If you're feeling healthy, you're feeling healthy, you're usually feeling pretty good about yourself, and that usually transcends to a positive mental state, right? You're feeling good about yourself. I feel good. I look good. I'm like, and that helps with your mind in terms of, that's just something your mind's not worrying about. And I think it just puts you in a better place. And when you're in a better place, you think clearly, right? People are under stress. People are under anxiety. This is why people struggle with tests. There's people that they know the knowledge. They do. They have it. They do. They know it. But they put them under a test, under the light. Hey, you got 90 minutes. Here's some questions. They just fall apart. Fall apart. And it's because they're putting all this pressure on themselves and all this stress. So your mental state can mean a lot, especially in high pressure situations. So yeah, being healthy is a factor.
Were you good at tests in school?
Yeah.
Sick. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with test taking.
Just
never have.
Never crack under pressure. Yeah.
I don't even know what that is. I don't put myself under pressure. I don't consider a test a pressure
Yeah.
kind of thing. I never really, I was the kind of person where, I blast through everything I know. And so I'm speaking in college now where a lot of my classes, especially in the tech side and my networking side, there was all essay questions. So I just kind of blast through the stuff I know. There'd be stuff I kind of remember. And then I'd have, I'd be kicking my feet up with 45 minutes to go, to an hour, just be like thinking, letting the answers come to me, not worried, just try to relax and you'll remember the material. Just don't put that pressure on yourself because that'll close the mind off.
Yeah. Confidence is definitely key, man.
I don't even call it, I wouldn't even say confidence. I just think, just try to relax. Just try to relax, man. Seriously. Let the brain work.
Trying to relax makes me stressed out more, man. I don't like.
It makes me stressed out that I can't relax. So exactly.
Just drink a beer, give your balls a tug, it'll be all right.
Everybody has to find their own method, but I just know stress isn't good.
For sure. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of funny thinking about you because, we addressed that earlier. You did have like that reputation for like throwing chairs at people and shit and like talking smack the whole time. You were like a pro wrestler. You're like the bad guy pro wrestler at some points in your Quake career.
Honestly, it's just most of the time it's because I was responding. I didn't know how to deal with trolls. I was a young guy. I was fiery.
Yeah.
Very fiery. And some people would say something, and I knew I was a good player. And I'll just throw that out here. Anybody knows it's much easier to talk trash when you're winning basically every game. So yeah, there's that part of it too. And so I used to let people have it a little bit, and I always had very colorful language in this. And I admitted people would get under my skin. They say certain things, and it's just the internet was a new experience to me. I was a fiery young man. I got in some fights as in my youth before I was an adult, and usually it was somebody said this or somebody said that, and something I wouldn't repeat as an adult, but things you do when you're young.
Nah, it'd be fun to go back and kind of have like that Conor McGregor type coverage of that, or at least, honestly, I wish there was someone like you participating now. And I know that's not possible because it's a much more professional environment and everybody's got to be cool and all that shit. But it would be so fucking fun to just, read on the headlines like, oh shit, like so and so kicked whatever's ass in the game and then after the game because they talk shit. Like I don't
think. And I don't think that has any. You shouldn't be. Violence certainly has no place. It's all a game. You should have good sportsmanship. I was speaking just more in terms of just stupid.
No, of course.
Stuff. Every kid's getting fight. Yeah, but I never was actually, in terms of competition. It's funny. I got the chair throwing reputation because that's not really how I interacted with my peers at all.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting.
It's the legend, though. Like that's the thing. It's not really nobody wants anyone to actually be punching people in the face or acting like a jackass. That's never fun ever.
There was an incident though. There was an incident.
Okay.
I will share. It's his name was Bitch Slayer of all names, and there was an incident. It's on camera. That I guess the way I remember is he was in an intense game, like a duel or something, and somebody was like really like hovering over him, watching. You know what I mean? Just imagine you're in a game and somebody's like really just like over your shoulder watching. And he kept saying like how much he didn't like it, didn't appreciate it, and kept warning him. And it turned into a confrontation where Bitch Slayer decided to bitch slap somebody in the face over it. And it's interesting chain of events. There's a little story for back for you folks back in the day.
No, we were talking earlier about like we're not necessarily selling you anything other than entertainment. And I mean, like, look at the way things work. If you have some kind of like drama to help sell the real product, which is you guys playing the game, then it all the better. Like it's fun.
I'm sorry. I just thinking back, I'm like, I can't believe that happened. But yeah, it happened.
So like, at what point did you start to see things get more like truly organized as far as esports go?
Oh, well, the WCG, right? when I went out to the first World Cyber Games. I guess before that as well. I mean, the CPL was really a big deal. People can love him or hate him. Angel Munoz was important. The CPL was important, and that's when things started getting more serious. As there was regular events, regular tournaments every year. You knew there was going to be a few big ones, and Razor CPL was really big. Players from all over the world going there. And, when the WCG happened, I mean, I don't think you can, I think that would be the big one because, South Korea putting on a big event, multiple titles, bringing in players from around the world, an Olympic style event, right? It's really trying to take it to the next level. So I would say that from that point on, I would imagine the organizational growth has been pretty significant.
At what point, so Quake 3 comes in at some point here. Quake 2 had really solid run there for a bit, but then Quake 3 kind of became like the Quake.
Yeah, the end of '99.
Yeah.
The later end of 1999. Quake 3 test came out, and then later Quake 3. And then we had the XSI, which is a invitational tournament in Sweden, where they brought out some players for Quake 1, Quake 2, Quake 3. Well, coming into Quake 3, some of the people that won Quake 3 test flew them out to an event for that. Came in second to a guy named Fatality. Maybe you guys might have heard of him.
No, never heard of him. No, just kidding.
So that was because at the time coming off of Quake 2, I was pretty confident that I could beat anybody at Quake, and John was definitely came out of the blue in that tournament. I didn't even know who he was. Honestly, I was like, "Oh, this guy's a grinder."
No, he's a weird cat, man. Yeah. Like I've never met him, obviously, but like definitely, like his story is particularly weird. Like he comes in, dominates Quake 3, then he like does the MTV thing. I think that was Unreal Tournament, if I'm not mistaken. Like strange, like just a unique story there.
Yeah, he definitely. Speaking of, that's kind of another sign that it was going to another level was the hours required to stay on top and be competitive was increasing. Where before you could kind of you could take it more as a pastime, and then maybe 2 weeks before a tournament or a month out, you can start bumping the hours out, and you bump it up a little bit, and you're ready. Versus later on, it was like I got to play every day. And I got to play, X amount of hours every day, and probably watch some demos of some of my opponents every day. And yeah, it turned into work.
Yeah, it turns a game into a job.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's a fun job, but yeah, it definitely it turns it more into a work thing.
Yeah. You probably talked about this plenty of times, but just kind of like that transition, as we said earlier, you were kind of a weapons player, not so much armor timing and all that shit. And then Quake 3, I want to say undermined that, but definitely just changed the way that worked. Then you had a pretty long career, playing Quake 3, but obviously like that's when it changed, and you start to see these like monster animals that practice all day every day. And
sure,
the game, yeah. And then we saw you kind of like not perform at at the level that you did in Quake 2 later on.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I'd just say it. The game changed because I was competing really well up until I stopped playing. Basically, I mean, once I stopped, I started taking long breaks and getting off of it. It's really hard to get it back without dedicating yourself, and I was just mentally never really dedicated anymore. Okay. So it was definitely a slow decline.
Yeah, if at any point it sounds like I'm being a jerk, I'm not. I'm speaking from
no.
It's
just because early on I was only losing to the people I was competitive with, Fatality, 0-4, basically all the people who are in the running to win tournaments were the people I'd drop a match to, but overall I was winning a lot until after Babbage's. Like, so I started playing Counter-Strike. started playing Counter-Strike, so I'm going to. And then I came back, and then it was definitely never the same. I got, I kind of got back on a little bit, and qualified for like what WC at the final, with the WCG qualifier, and some other time. I went to QuakeCon a little bit and got like top 8 something. Which for my standards was definitely subpar, but I was nowhere near. I knew going in that I wasn't the player I was anymore. It's kind of interesting
Yeah.
that you mentioned that, because it's I was feeling it after Babbage's, after I took a break and started playing Counter-Strike. I can literally pinpoint when I say it's like, yeah, I lost my edge from that point on, because I never got it back. Never got it back. I was always a step behind, and it just got worse and worse after that.
What was that feeling though? Is it like a slow burn, kind of like you realize it over time, or was it more like? Because the way I picture it is, was it a relief to no longer feel like you had to be number one, all the time? Because you said that earlier, like you hate losing.
Yeah. There's. I mean, I enjoy a lot of different game titles now. If you were to see how I play games today, so in that aspect, I do enjoy the fact that I don't have to focus. I can take pride in being mediocre at everything, But no, it was honestly, at first it was a little frustrating.
Yeah.
At first it was a little frustrating because I could feel it. I knew there was a problem, and um, it's just like I couldn't recapture it. It made me, I guess that it made me realize I took it for granted a little bit,
Hmm.
the level I was playing at, and then yeah, when you lose it, you're like, damn, I want it back, and you're like, it's not so easy to get back, and then you start appreciating, wow, I actually did all the work I was doing to get there. It's like, I guess you don't really realize it until after, especially when I was a young guy, and I was just like, yeah, I could pick it up again, no problem. I got this. And it's like, nah, you fall a little bit behind. You don't go to an event here and there. You stop practicing with the guys, and then you just try to come back on it. And it's like, it's just you lose a step. I guess it's like I'm just a step slower, man. Just a step slower. Just not recognizing things. Um, a half second late when yeah, milliseconds matter.
Yeah.
And it was just that kind of thing. And I can talk to anybody who's really good. And I guess the way I can explain it is I noticed the game didn't seem slow to me anymore. That's the best way I can explain it. The game really felt slow to me before. Everything was just like in slow motion, man. And then I could see these little openings and how to take advantage of these openings, because like I said, the game was kind of really slowed down for me. And then when I came back after a little bit of a break, and it's just everything felt a lot more rushed, a lot more panicky, like not, yeah, just it's. And then over time, that and especially now, oh yeah, if somebody asks why couldn't you do it today, and like, because my instincts are all out of whack, like completely out of whack, like in terms of just what I was talking about, player prediction, and understanding the game and understanding how people think in the game. That's just gone, man, gone. And the only way you get that back is grinding, experience, dedication, practice. And I've stepped off of it, man. I had career goals, I had career concerns. I had a lot of extra outside pressures too. So
Yeah.
that was also a part of it.
Oh, that's very eloquently worded, man. Like I can't really imagine what that must have been like at all. Like what was it like for like your family and like your parents and friends that you kind of grew up around and kind of see you go from, the kid that they knew to this like video gaming legend, especially at like a time when it was misunderstood. Not to say that they judged you, but what was it like for them?
Get a real job.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it was, yeah, it's, I sold it as, look, I'm young, I'm trying something I'm passionate about, because I feel like this is going to be something big in the future. So I want to be a part of it and help start it or whatever. And I knew that, I could only do that for so long,
Yeah.
given my life situation. There was no, it was never in the cards for me to do it full time forever. Let's just put it that way.
If you do they realize now, like the impact that you've had on this business and this sport in general, or like group of sports, really?
Shoot, I don't even think I know if what impact I've had on the business, man, if any. The fact that some people actually remember me at all is pretty neat.
Oh,
But
that's really humble, man.
but but I mean, seriously, you got guys that are really pushing it to the next level now. Really pushing it to the next level today, like doing big things for esports today. And
Yeah.
I'm just, just the fact that I was a part of it, and it's pretty cool.
Journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step, and you were one of those first few hundred steps. Maybe the first 20, realistically speaking. It's a handful of like great players, great designers, and then like great influencers and supporters who made the events happen. It's a lot of moving parts. The fact that we even still have these demos to go back and watch is incredible to me. Because most kids today, like me included, getting into these games, we're used to watching things on like YouTube and Twitch and that kind of deal with it. There's all this preserved data that's just kind of scattered around on different forums and websites and old like RRC channels, ways to kind of really dive deep into the history of what this is. And when it comes to Quake 1, Quake 2, Doom, Unreal Tournament, like these games were, not as popular now as they once were, but this was the beginning of a very huge industry.
There's there's tournament demos I still wish I could find. There's demos that they might be just lost to history, honestly. I'd have maybe somebody on some hard drive, has them stored on the hard drive somewhere. But yeah, there's demos that I can't even find of games that were played. Unfortunately.
Your dad was a military guy, you said?
I was in the Navy for a little bit, yeah.
Okay. Because you kind of said like that get a real job kind of mentality. I don't know if that came specifically from him or any of that, but just wondering.
It was just a different time, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, the concept was foreign to anybody, and I just tried to say we're trying to form our own professional sport. We're trying to create our own professional sport, and there's a lot of good things about esports. One of the things I mentioned is that not everybody can be an athlete. As somebody who is pretty luckily physically gifted, and medically, I've been healthy and lucky in that regard, and I was able to play a lot of different sports as a kid. But not everybody can play sports. Not everybody's everybody has different physical abilities and limitations, right? And some people are more coordinated than others, and this and that. And I've always felt like with esports, anybody can get in front of a computer for the most part and participate, without feeling like they're going to fall over and throw up in 5 minutes. Because certain sports, it requires a level of training and things like that. And I recognize that most people, if you go by the law of averages, most people aren't on the upper echelon of athleticism. Shoot, I am not anymore either. You know what I mean? I can run for 5 minutes, I'd probably be ready to throw up. So the reality is, I think esports brings in a lot of different folks.
Well, even it's even true of esports. Like you can say that, like, some people aren't physically gifted and therefore would never, are never going to be top level NBA players, but some people are mentally gifted and some people aren't. And I'm not saying like smart or dumb, but like their ability to focus, like a lot of great gamers probably have like they fall somewhere on the spectrum of autism or like Asperger's perhaps, or ADD or something that we may even call a disorder, but is actually a gift in regards to their ability to focus and analyze the game.
I don't even know if I would get into necessarily all that. I just think everybody has a unique ability to excel at something they're passionate about. So yeah. I think when people devote time to something, you can obviously get very good at it. And even if you don't become the best at something, if you really do apply yourself, you'll end up being very, very good. Which is not, and I think people need to have some. I think a problem. I guess I call it a problem. Is people need to have some, I guess, realistic expectations in terms of understanding that you don't have to be perfect all the time to be happy,
Oh, that's
be
true.
good, and striving to be the best. And it's good to strive to be the best, but if you fall a little short, you shouldn't. At the same time, you shouldn't be hard on yourself for that, and just recognize your efforts and where you are as an individual. It's all about growth, man. It's all about growth.
That's a very beautiful way of putting it. I think you're much kinder now. That's really nice to hear you say stuff like that, man. It's sort of like
it's
beautiful, all inclusive.
Well, it's
wisdom.
People, yeah. Like I remember sometimes in college, it's like you don't turn something in an assignment because it's not ready, and you end up getting a 0. And it's like, no, I should have turned it in. Who cares if it was perfect or not? Just turn it in, man.
Yeah.
Get the work in, and don't beat yourself up too much about it. Not everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Again, it comes back to pressure. You think you're going to get good at something, putting a bunch of pressure on yourself, and it's not going to happen. I don't think that'll happen for you.
Yeah.
You should enjoy it. You should enjoy something, be passionate about it, and just let the chips fall where they may.
If you would like to support the Keep, there are several ways you can go about doing that. There are monetary options such as Patreon, PayPal, and our Amazon affiliate link, all located on our website. Also on our website, inthekeep.com. You can find our merch tab. You can buy t-shirts or posters, stickers, wall tapestries, whatever you want with our logo on it, and we'll be adding more to that store, over the course of time. But, those are the monetary ways. And then there's, obvious ways, which is just spread the word. Just tell people that you enjoy the show. Share it on your social media or your forum or your IRC or whatever. If it applies to that community, then, that's all we ask. That's all we can ask. If you enjoy the show and you want to hear more shows like it, I highly recommend you go check out Multiplayer Doom Federation's show, which is Doom is Dead podcast, hosted by Human Bones. He is one bad SOB, and I think you would really enjoy it if you love Doom as much as I do. You can also go check out the Quake cast, hosted by Dump Truck, and depending on the day, it could be just him or JCR or RC, any of which would be an amazing episode. They're all fantastic members of the Quake single-player community. I hope you check that out. Finally, every Saturday morning, live from Kentucky, check out Quake Fans Radio, hosted by Smango of QuakeFans.net. It's all things arena first-person shooters. It comes at you live, again, every Saturday morning. I think it's 7 a.m., or something, Eastern time. I know it's like super early for me, but then you could just check it out afterwards on YouTube or, from the podcast app or whatever it is that you want to do, man. It's a great show, and I love Smango, so definitely go check that out. All the links to all these shows you can find on the front page of QuakeFans.net. I hope you do. Take care, and stay in the Keep.